You are listening to TheJ Jentradiopodcast with your host Kennedy.
Yo, what's up, everyone? You are listening to TheJ Podcast. I'm your host, Kennedy, and right now we will discuss the half hour of what's going on in Japan, Japanese entertainment news, and more. So first, let's talk about the temperatures. Right now, if you are planning to go in Tokyo, it's about 22 degrees Celsius, so that's about 71. But that will start to dip down from Tuesday through Thursday, going as far, going as low as 14 degrees, which is, it sounds very low in Celsius, but in Fahrenheit, that's about 57 degrees, while the low is around the 40s. If you're going to be in northern Japan, of course, you're going to see the temperatures now start to reach the freezing point, around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but which is what 1 degree Celsius. But for the most part, yeah, temperatures are starting to cool down, and I think for a lot of people, I know a lot of people are just waiting to have that fall to autumn to winter weather come up soon. And also for some people, that is when they start to feel all Christmassy, because when it's too hot, it's just kind of hard to think in that manner of having Christmas and wearing coats while it's still warm outside. But yeah, it is cooling down this week, so definitely know that on tomorrow through Thursday it will start to cool down. Okay, let's check out the news. First, let's take a look at Asahi, and this one is Rising Malaysia emerges as top study destination for Japanese. And on a recent late summer afternoon, just outside Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia's bustling capital, a group of about 70 visitors from Japan, students, parents, and educators, hopped off a tour bus to explore Malaysian universities. Their itinerary included top-tier private institutions such as Taylor's University and Sunway University, where they toured lecture halls, dormitories, and student lounges to get a feel for campus life. So that's pretty interesting. I guess it depends on what kind of education one is going towards. You tend to see it on the opposite side of things. When I was at Tokyo University, I noticed that a lot of the students I met from different countries were primarily engineering students, and talking to others who actually go to college outside of Japan, they actually have chosen areas in I know Philippines, South Korea, also United States and Canada. So if anything, I feel that if for a lot of people who want to go outside of Japan, a lot are definitely wanting to broaden their international business, especially when it comes to learning the English language and learning or getting away from Japanese culture and learning about other cultures as well. For myself, I can tell you that one big facet in my life, and it was a club we called the Asanaro Club. It was it featured many people from different countries, but primarily Japanese, and it was focused on Japanese culture and so forth. But it was always fascinating to meet people who traveled to Japan. From Japan to go to study abroad, and I tend to ask, and for a lot of them, it's mainly the English, and also for business, and to immerse themselves in studying outside of Japan, because they felt this would give them a better path career-wise, for the fact that they know English as a second language. And I just remember those years of them having to pass TOEIC, and yeah, it was. I was always there as like support, and I still do that today. If on my YouTube channel where I focus on conversations, but a lot of Japanese who are wanting to learn English and wants to speak to non-Japanese in English. You tend to see those a lot in meetups, but I have been part of that for a very, very long time, and also meeting people through these meetups or through these various conversation programs, because I also use it as a way. Because I always when I talk to the students who eventually become friends, it's a two-way street where they want to learn English, and then I also want to further, my Japanese, because my Japanese it's I forget it. It's just I don't use it as much because I mostly speak English, and sometimes it's just I'm hoping things just come back, so I try to communicate, and sometimes it's just not the best in terms of when I'm speaking it, or especially writing it as well. So it's just it's a two-way street, and I can tell you right now, if you really love Japanese culture and if you want to meet Japanese friends, these meetups or these conversation programs are wonderful. Definitely great way to make friends if you are planning to travel to Japan or have Japanese friends in general, because those are lifelong friends there. Japan's Sakurajima volcano erupts, ashfall cancels flights. So a volcano on Japan's major western island of Kyushu erupted multiple times on Sunday, sending a plume of smoke and ash as high as 4.4 kilometers, 2.73 miles into the air, causing dozens of flight cancellations. The volcano, which is called Sakurajima, is located on the southern tip of Kyushu near the city of Kagoshima, and it erupted at 1 a.m. And there were additional eruptions at 2:30 a.m. and 8:50 a.m. Now, Sakurajima is one of Japan's most active volcanoes, and eruptions of varying levels take place on a regular basis. And in 2019, it spewed ash as high as 3.4 miles. So that's going to be interesting thing to watch. I know that there has been a lot of volcanic activity throughout the globe, and a lot of people were wondering if this is triggered because of the sun. And usually when the sun has a lot of activity, and it tends to really cause havoc. I guess you could say havoc, but it tends to really disrupt things in terms of weather or in terms of how things work on our planet. And you can definitely watch that on YouTube and look into that. But it's just very, very fascinating of the dormant volcanoes just starting to spew ash. But this one has been active for a very long time. Let's see here. Hand-wielding man, Akita Inu dog fends off bear attack in Miyagi. So, after a terrifying night battling an attacking bear, Kotaro Takahashi checked the garden where the kennel for his dog Tetsukumo is located. He found several traces of soil dug up by the bear. Animal fur was scattered across the garden. He also saw bloodstains on the ground. Takahashi had never heard of bear sightings in his neighborhood before. I had thought bear attacks were something scary that only happened to other people. I never expected one would show up at my house. So, around 11:50 p.m., Takahashi's second oldest daughter heard Tetsukumo, a 6-year-old Akita Inu, barking outside their house. Sensing something was wrong, she asked her father, who was watching TV in the living room, to help her check on the dog. And the father and daughter heard not only nonstop barking, but also painful sounding yelps. Tetsukumo had been barking at a raccoon dog 4 nights earlier, so Takahashi thought there was another tanuki out there. But when he and his daughter opened the front door, A black mass of about 1.3 meters in size was at the entrance, standing on all fours and looking right at them. Its eyes met his. "It's a bear! Bear!" At the moment, the bear charged Takahashi and his daughter. They managed to close the door just in time, but the animal hit and scratched the door and even put its front paws on the doorknob. Takahashi held on the doorknob and told his daughter to wake up her mother and call the police. Then became quiet outside. Takahashi thought the bear had run off, but he heard Tsukumo yelping again. Unable to stay still, Takahashi opened the door and saw the bear running around in a circle, seemingly in a panic. A floor jack used to lift cars had been left outside the front door. Takahashi let out a roar and pulled out the 50-centimeter long handle that he held in his hand. The bear rushed at him again. He swung the handle down on the bear with all his might. It hit the right shoulder of the animal, which then fled towards the riverside. Takahashi brought the Tsukumo into the house, and police arrived soon after. The dog was bleeding from his mouth, the groin area of both front legs and back. Takahashi took Tsukumo to an animal hospital the next day and was relieved when the veterinarian said the canine's injuries were non-life-threatening. Although Takahashi didn't directly see Tsukumo fighting the bear, evidence in the garden area showed that a brawl had taken place between the two animals. "I'm sure he fought against it many times," Takahashi said of his pet. "He protected us." Now, this is something that I have been noticing quite often in Japanese news, and how there are a lot of bears running amok in Japan. And it's one thing when you read about wild monkeys, but now you're starting to see the bears. And I think people would say it's due to the lack of food sources, but we do know that bears have been going after fish farms, fruit orchards, trying to look for food, and it's bringing them towards where people live. And unfortunately, we have seen news in the past few weeks already of attacks that have happened in Japan, and it's just one of those things when people who live in the country, it's something to be careful for, and it's something to to have, because I think in this case there could have been some major tragedies, as you saw with this story. The person, the father and the daughter, once he opened the door to check things out and saw the bear darting after them, oh my gosh, I could only imagine. That is insane. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that all of them are safe, including Tsukumo, the dog. And again, there's been a lot of damage caused by bears to fruit orchards and fish farms, and I don't know if there's been anything that the police are doing or the cities, but I do know that in Yamagata Prefecture, south of Aomori, bears have been going after the La France pears and pear farms and fish farms, and it's actually totaling about several millions of yen. And in the past, bears targeted the feed kept on the farm, but more recently the animals have been going after the fish itself. And according to this news, Lawson Incorporated chain of convenience stores have begun distributing spray repellent to members' outlets to ward off bears. So the spray repellent will be sent to outlets that request it in Hokkaido, Tohoku, and northern Kanto regions. Lawson is also considering installing devices that emit low-frequency waves. Outlet operators will be asked to decide whether to close their doors if bear sighting reports emerge in their neighborhoods. The ministers' meeting decided to strengthen measures to kill bears in the spring, as well as those who frequently stay or stray into residential areas. Another measure to be implemented from this month is to call on retired members of self-defense forces and police to obtain a hunting license to increase the number of bear hunters. So, yeah, it's something that we're starting to see quite a bit. And I know that there have been, in Hokkaido, a fatal attack And then I know a bear had mauled 4 people in Akita in the residential area. So from April to October, 66% of bear attacks came in populated areas. So yeah, this is going to be a big topic. I mean, it's already a big topic because you're seeing it in the news so often, almost daily or weekly at least. But I know a lot of people say, well, this is more of the people who are in the countryside or live in those mountainous regions. But yeah, you're going to start to see these as you know, as these animals try to get food, they're venturing towards these areas that are residential areas. And I know they have to come up with, they need to, you know, find a way to put this like a barrier, because according to this article right here, the frequency of attacks may be tied to a poor harvest of acorns and other nuts, causing bears to seek food beyond their usual habitats during a season where it's crucial for them to bulk up prior to hibernating. And there's one researcher at Hokkaido University who have been putting GPS collars to note bear movements, and she said that it has become more common for bears to search for food in populated areas and farmland late at night when they are less likely to be spotted. Some residential areas have already become part of the bear's habitat, adding that people living near forests need to try to anticipate where the animals are likely to appear and take precautions. Wow. The next news right here. Store owner regrets slave contracts with major Japanese convenience store chain Ministop. Oh, what's going on with this? I shouldn't have agreed so easily, a man said as he expressed regret about his owner contracts with major Japanese convenience store chain Ministop after operating 6 stores in Osaka Prefecture and being demanded to pay more than 20 million yen, about $129,000. Wow. So they want him to pay that much for his employees' misconduct. Ministop was caught falsifying expiration dates on handmade rice balls and other products earlier this year. According to Nakamura Taruhito, the owner of 2 stores in Higashioka where the fraud was uncovered, had been persuaded by the head office to take over the store operations. The 54-year-old Higashioka resident shared his feelings in an interview with Mainichi Shimbun. The misconduct at a Ministop affected 25 stores in 7 prefectures, and the operating company plans to terminate contracts with the involved owners. Nakamura is being asked to terminate contracts for all 6 of his stores and pay a penalty. At his 2 stores where the fraud occurred, staff spent 2 to 3 hours at night making rice balls and other products and issued an affixed expiration date labels all at once. These labels were supposed to be attached immediately after production. I didn't know about it. I left everything to the staff, so I apologize for my lack of supervision, he commented. At another Ministop store in late June, a product was found with double-labeled expiration dates. An internal investigation revealed fraud at 2 of Nakamura's stores as well. When he interviewed employees at the request of the head office, he discovered that the practice began around 2.5 years ago and in January this year. The employees who initiated the fraud said it's more efficient to issue labels all at once. I've always thought that since few customers come at night, products don't sell well, and it's a waste to discard them. They shared the belief that they had thought it would become such a big issue and had apparently passed this message on to other employees. So, I guess what's happening here is that, Ministop is demanding closure of these Ministop stores that this person owns, 6 stores, and are wanting him to pay more than 20 million yen. And to fight back, it looks like Nakamura, who has a family, said, I have little savings and individual bankruptcy is my only option, but I can't accept being treated the same as people who maliciously double-label products and being told to quit. He continues to refuse to sign the consent form and is negotiating with the head office through a lawyer. Originally from the western Japan city of Wakayama, Nakamura attended university in Tokyo metropolitan area. So let's see where the slave contract is. The system was attractive because compared to other major chains, you could become an owner with relatively little capital, even by yourself. So he was entrusted with managing a new store in the city of Osaka in 2009 and another one in Higashioka in autumn 2011. Life wasn't luxurious, but it was going well. However, things took a turn for the worse in 2022 when he took over 2 stores in Sakai and Kishiwada. Both had low sales, and apparently no one wanted to take over as owner. The person who came to ask me was the head office representative who had helped with my first store. It felt like fate, and they seemed genuinely troubled, so I took them on. In 2024, he also took over 2 more stores in Kadoma and Higashioka. Daily operations became much more challenging compared to before. He traveled between stores by private car, avoiding expressways with tolls to save costs, taking over an hour one way to Kishiwada's store from his home. The stores in Sakai and Kadoma facing a chronic shortage of staff, as employees did not stay long despite being trained, Nakamura stated. This key to the business is how you nurture someone who can be the backbone. I work the registers myself at both stores and spend most of my time there. The one in Kadoma is finally settling down. So I think looking here also, you see here, family trips are limited to visiting a grave in his hometown, Wakayama, and combining it with a ranch visit. Convenience store owner contracts are often called slave contracts, and I feel that way. Mini-stop store advisors assisted owners and provided guidance. In the past, it was mandated that each store be visited twice a week, but due to staff shortages, advisors are so busy that visiting once a week for 3 hours is the best they can do at some stores. I'm also busy, so there are times where I can't meet advisors and they just leave messages, or I have to take photos of the product space and send them in. To reduce the burden on stores and resuming sales of handmade products, including rice balls, Mini-Stop has cut the number of products from 70 to 23. They also plan to reduce the number of stores each advisor is responsible for. Okay. Just reading this article, my thoughts are that I think one will see it as a blessing of taking on the additional role to head numerous stores. But at the same time, knowing that these are troubled stores and you're going to have to maintain them, and then of course it sounds like that even though the headquarters were somewhat begging him to take over, and which he did because he was dedicated to the company and his business, and what he thought would be a blessing became much of a curse, and now they are demanding a lot of money back from him. I think if anything is that, was he wrong? I think that's something that they're going to have to figure out in court. But I will say that sometimes, people bite off more than they can chew. And in this case, taking on these additional stores, while in some cases where I know people like to flex with how many stores they own, sometimes just taking on certain stores, especially if they're problematic stores, can definitely lead to a lot of problems. And it looks like this is the case. But in a way that you would think that for what he has given to Mini-Stop for close to 15 years, there should be some appreciation of his work and the diligence of keeping those stores afloat. But instead, having him fire all his staff and to close the stores and pay $20 million, that's a bit much. In fact, it's it's unfortunate, and I know there are slave contracts, not just with convenience stores, but in other businesses, which I know that many businesses are becoming outed. I think if anything, This is possibly a good example of how a business model, a traditional business model, is not working out in today's climate. Possibly. We know how things are efficient when it comes to 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and Lawson. And not to say that Mini Stop is not nothing like them, but there's just certain things that they'll need to evaluate, especially the various stores that are not performing well. So, but the thing is, though, give the men some credit for at least trying to maintain those 6 stores for the company, but at the same time, while those mistakes are unacceptable in Japan, correct them and do better the next time. Make some improvements, but firing and then store closures and this hefty fine just leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, right? So anyway, let's move on. By the way, congratulations to Koki, daughter of Kimura Takuya, and the group Hana, who won the Best Genius Award. I thought that was pretty awesome. Sony also wins a red and white song battle. 11 groups, including Hana, were selected for the upcoming Kohaku Utagasen. So the announcements were made of the Kohaku, the 76th annual Kohaku Utagasen from NHK. This is a red and white battle between the women and the men. New Year's Eve. It was the Super Bowl, I guess you could say, of TV programming. But once you started to see more competition, and also with the internet adding another dimension to captivating viewers, we started to see viewership start to drop for NHK, but it's still higher than most programs, but compared to its heyday, it's nowhere near that. So what they have been trying to do is they've been trying to capture an audience, a younger audience, and how to do that, right? Well, you're always going to have the older legendary performers that have performed on Kohaku Utagasen for many years. There are key individuals that they tend to bring back over and over again, especially with their elaborate costumes or performance outfits and so forth. But you also have this you also have NHK also trying to be hip and modern by trying to incorporate groups that usually they would never bring on, or artists that they usually never bring on, but also trying to tap into the K-pop realm. And in this case, you got Islet and aespa slated to appear. But I think also that you have Perfume, who will be performing on Kohaku Utagasen before their hiatus, long-term hiatus, with Achan, who recently just got married last week. But then you have also Fruits Zipper, and also looking here, we have Hana, that's their first time. And you have Chanmina, her first time. Candy Tune, their first time. So quite a few first-timers on here. But then on the white side, you see less people, but you see Milk performing. Miss Green Apple, always will always be a fixture now. They're so popular. You got Be First, Bondi, Tube. Tube is interesting. I mean, they're a long-time group, but they've only been on Kohaku 3 times. King and Prince, Orange Range, which is an interesting one because they haven't been on the show for almost, 19 years? So, again, this is all very interesting, but while they did release a listing, I can just tell you right now, this listing is like it's not everyone, because within these next few weeks, they're always trying to find ways to get viewers, groups to come in and perform. So don't be surprised if you see more and more artists and groups and even bands show up, but also maybe some that may be surprising, because that is their main thing. They've been always wanting to get certain artists, especially legends, that have not appeared on the show for decades, but it's always a negotiation and trying to get these artists to perform on the show. But I will say though that if they get Nakamori Akina, that's going to be a major thing, especially Southern All Stars, if they're able to ever do that. But yeah, I think it's just very interesting to see the list, and we'll see who gets added as December comes around the corner real soon. So also interesting in the news is you got Sawajiri Erika, who has not appeared on entertainment for a while. She actually showed up on a YouTube channel. Granted, this is nothing, it's just an interview, but at least this is possibly something that is hinting of something major coming up. We haven't seen her ever since she had that big drug issue. It was that was reported in the news, and of course it was something that many people wondered if she could bounce back from, and we'll see. And last but not least, I know we're going a little over the half-hour mark here, Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, the movie, Mugen Castle Arc Chapter 1, Akaza Returns, has surpassed 100 billion yen in box office revenue worldwide. So that's the first time in history that a Japanese film has done so. So that is amazing. So it's just one thing that I find very interesting is that it was in July when they grossed 37.9 billion yen. And then on November 16th, it was around 89. No, it was around not 89, but it was, yeah, it was around, okay, they did 106 billion yen in November 16th. So that is just amazing. And even though animated films tend to, do well in the box office, this staggering number is just amazing. It's just, I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. So regarding this milestone, Aniplex commented, "We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to each and every person who has come to cinemas around the world, including Japan, as well as to all the theater staff and other people involved in bringing this film to you." Anyway, that's just a big accomplishment. That's just fantastic. So, yeah, really cool. Let's see here. And last but not least, Shida Kohaku will be replacing Imamori Maya in Gozyuger. So, number one, Sentai Gozyuger. This is replacing Imamori Maya, who was pretty much, she stepped down from the show and was terminated from her management due to underage drinking. So what best than to get someone who fans are familiar with and possibly lessen the sting, because I know there were a lot of people angry that Imamori was gone from the show, because she's been a fixture of that show, and it's supposed to be the quote-unquote the last Sentai series. But yeah, I think having a Dawn Brothers cast member that fans are very familiar with showing up as the new Gozyuger unicorn, I think that's pretty cool. So I think I think if anything, that's probably the olive branch to the fans, saying, we know you're hurt, we know you're upset, but we have to do what we got to do, and to make it up, we will bring a beloved actress to be the new female member of the show. So, also, a few things I want to plug. You got the solo live performance of the popular VTuber Hochimachi Shuisei Supernova Reboot, which will be broadcasted live on Abima PPV from 6 p.m. on Saturday, February 21st. And then also you got Village Vanguard's music label, Village Vanguard Records, announcing their third release. So the artist is Chitose Yoshino. So definitely check that out. And as always, again, there's a lot of Christmas illumination happening throughout Tokyo. Definitely check these events out. One of the recent ones that I actually promoted is the Marunouchi Bright Holiday 2025. This is a very fascinating place. It's right a few blocks away from Tokyo Station. And what I like about this one is that they give you a map of all these various locations, and pretty much you have to visit all the shopping areas around the Marunouchi area, and these are easy walking distances. They're not super far, so you'll find like special Disney themed Christmas celebrations happening. So, and also you have the champagne colored lighting of the trees that happens every year, and definitely a magical place to visit for Christmas illumination. So definitely check that place out. But yeah, that is it, everyone. You all take care, and I will see you later. Wink, wink. I am Kennedy. Watashi wa Kennedy desu. Ja, mata na. Take care, everyone.